Good afternoon. My name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indianapolis Real Estate Market Weekly Update. I'm sitting here today with Greg Evans with PRMG Mortgage, Shelly Walters with EXP here in Carmel, Indiana, and Kyle Morris with FC Tucker. Hey guys, what's going on today?
Hey Tony, thanks so much for having us again. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get nice out. I feel like we're a week away from golf weather, like full time.
No, well, the guy that doesn't know anything about golf is Greg Evans.
Well, there was a little improvement in mortgage rates today. That's the good news.
Well, that's a good thing. Hey, Shelly, tell me what's going on. What are you seeing in the market in the last week with your buyers, sellers? Tell me what's kind of going on in the marketplace between you and Kyle in the real estate world.
I think what I'm seeing, we kind of touched on it before, is these interest rates may be starting to hurt a little bit on the lower end of the sales. So not as many offers coming in on maybe homes under 300 in our area, and also not as high. So they're not escalating as high. Those two things I think are very, very prominent right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the interesting thing about that too is a lot of the market is getting fatigued, especially in that, and discouraged. And so we in particular have had some luck finding people houses in the like 300 and less because there is so much fatigue and the offers are changing and the interest rates are impacting things. So interestingly enough, a lot of the market is getting fatigued, and I feel like we need to be telling people like right now is actually the beginning of the good time to actually be in that price point.
Yeah, and I think that they need to understand that they are not escalating as much, and there is not as much competition. So back in the day, again, when we were seeing 30 and 40 offers on houses under 300, that's just not happening anymore. And you just mentioned rates are looking a little better.
They're looking a little better. And, you know, if some of these consumers would take a look at some of the 5-1 and the 7-1 arms, they can get some rate relief right there because that's locked in for a long time. 7 years, I don't know how long people are in houses anymore, but they're usually 5 to 7 years, and 7 years is, you know, long time, and there's a half a point difference. But sometimes it could be almost up to 3/4 of a point difference between an ARM and a fixed rate, and that's a huge hole. So the consumers would have a lot more buying power if they went with an ARM.
Absolutely. I think the interesting thing is we've really seen the market's kind of been the same to a certain extent for the past year, and we got really creative with our offers, and I think we're really seeing a change where we're now starting to get more creative with the loan products because, I mean, we're kind of in the same situation, and so how do you improve your buying position?
Well, and one of the things I always remember when I started real estate in 2008 was it was a difficult market, and you always just have to figure out as the market continues to change, you have to change with it, and you have to figure out how you're going to stay relevant in that same market. And so if you're selling every day like we are, we have issues that we know are coming up and changing, and we make our playbook a little different as we go forward. So I have a big sign in my office that says, you know, think outside the box. And that's one thing I always do is try not to look at this as it all is black and white how we need to do this.
Exactly.
We have team meetings every 2 weeks so we can acclimate and adjust because 1 week's hard. It's like, is this just a fluke for this week, right? But
Exactly.
2 weeks we can start to see trends, and we all talk and we try to figure out what are we seeing that's working, what kind of offers are we seeing, what are we losing to, what are we winning with, so that we can keep our buyers getting houses.
Well, and I think that helps as well because if somebody's out there trying to figure this out right now, like if you guys are looking to buy or sell and you're trying to figure out how to do it, make sure you're working with an agent that has worked in this market and is working on it daily because it changes so much and you just have to adjust accordingly constantly, or you may not sell your house for top dollar like you should be, or you may not find a home at all. So that's important.
On the other side of the fence too, you got to deal with a mortgage company that's creative. You got a guy that says, hey, my payment's way too much on a 30-year fix. I'm putting 20% down. I don't qualify. Or I do qualify, but I don't want to pay that much. This guy needs to go to a 5-1, 7-1, or a 10-1 arm where he's going to shave off a half a point subject to what arm he picks, or maybe even a point, and the guy's in the game. Most people are going to refinance within 5 to 7 years anyway. We'll be back into lower rates within 5 to 7 years. You can look on the Wall Street Journal and see that. And the bottom line is it can help them get qualified. Right, Greg?
Yes, so there's a lot more lending options as far as consumers that may not qualify in the conventional arena. They can qualify in the non-qualified mortgage world. And that lets people have a lot more options when it comes to buying homes that they didn't think they could get into.
Okay, hey,
I think it also, real quick though,
All right.
I think it also matters not just to Shelly's point, to knowing the market for buyers. I mean, it matters just as much for sellers, right?
yeah.
I mean, I see houses priced all over the place, and when do you list it, and people, how do you
Exactly.
present it, how do you market it, like all of that matters. You can't just assume your house is going to sell over list and have 100 people in it and make 50, 60, 100, $200,000 over list price. Like, it still matters what you're doing to get that number and how you set it up. So
People are saying it goes over list all the time. Well, it may go over list 1%, or it could be over list 15%, and you're leaving money on the table. But the thing is I had a phone call last week. The person was doing it for sale by owner, and the marketing was
I feel sorry for him.
crazy. They had 3 pictures, none on the inside of the house. And so I called back, and asked. It was 9 days later, and they'd had 2 showings. And I said, I really want to help you. If there's a way we can talk and see if there's a way that we could possibly help you list it. And she's like, no, I'm trying to save money on the commission. And in my head, I'm thinking,
You're gonna
you're
drive the
still on
price
the
up for
market
it.
on this brand new
Sure.
house. I mean, it's just something that it's
could have
so
made
hard.
it and then some, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's hard to
They
explain
don't
that.
understand.
Explain that we are here doing this every day, and we're professionals at it, and we know how to do it correctly. And just make sure that you look for us if you really need help, or just call us and ask questions. We'd be glad to help.
Yeah, real estate.
Yeah, I mean, the
resource.
value of a real estate agent is what people are, they think what they're paying for is they just get a commission to sell the house. What they don't understand is what you guys have to go through, okay, to make it a great, legal, smooth transaction. And so everybody's happy on both sides of the fence. They've got to understand. Well, normally if an agent puts a house up today for $400,000, it's going to run up a little bit right now, even with the interest rates being up. I mean, what's the average days on market right now? Let's just pick Carmel. What do you think the average days on market? 4?
Well, what
5?
the funny thing
I'd
about
say
that
4,
is,
yeah.
is the way we list them in today's market is we kind of put them up on Wednesday or Thursday, and
Right.
all offers are due by Sunday or Monday. So we're slamming in a written rule that it's 4 days on the market. If
Right.
it's going to sell, it's going to be 4 days on the market. So, I had one listed in Westfield, and it was really funny. The neighbor had called me and said, what did it sell for? And they said, well, the other neighbor next door sold it in a day. And I said, well, my offers are due in 3 more days, and we'll do it. It's just the mentality of, if you don't do this every day, of thinking that we don't know what we're doing. Well, that house that sold in a day was the same kind of floor plan, same square footage, same neighborhood, obviously. And I got $45,000 more for the house.
Right.
I think,
Because I left it open for,
Yep.
for people to see it. But also,
Good,
real quick,
good
I
for
want
the sellers.
Right, but what I want to say is we're not inflating these prices. We are listing them at a price knowing it's going to inflate. I can't list at
Because
the sale
by
price.
market demand.
correct.
Right. So if we do market analysis right now, Kyle, I'm sure you do the same thing. We're looking at all the past sales. All the past sales, we don't even know if they appraised. We don't know the whole story behind that price.
Right.
We cannot list where they're all escalating to, because there still needs to be room for escalation. So there's very specific ways you have to list a home in today, and pricing it is one of them.
It's a huge thing that we deal with every single day. I think the misnomer is that we have to do less as agents to sell a house right now, and I would, come walk in my shoes for a week, right? Like it's
Well,
actually quite the opposite, because
absolutely.
the expectation is so high also. So I have to make sure I can deliver that, which takes a lot of work. It just does. I mean, that's my job. It's what I do. But at the same time, like, it isn't just as simple as throwing photos up and calling it a day. It's
Oh,
not.
No.
No,
Because
you got to
have
sift through the orders. You got to sift through the offers. One guy's higher than the other, but which one's really going to get to the table? But while we're talking about this, let's talk about what was listed in the last 7 days. So let's start with Hamilton County and jump into Fishers real quick. What do you got there, Kyle?
So in Fishers last week, Tuesday to Tuesday, we had 50 go on the market. 19 of those are still active. 31 of them pinned it over the weekend, to your point. A lot of them within 4 days. The interesting thing about Fishers, as I was looking at it from this week to last week, was there was about a 50% uptick in listings, right? So
Yeah, market's open.
Right, exactly. So, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I think the trend that we were kind of predicting as the selling market actually began to start, which was last week, is actually coming to fruition. And then in Noblesville, it was lower. It was 37 went on the market. 11 of them are still active, so 26 are still or went pending, and that was basically almost the exact same as the week prior to that. So I was telling you guys earlier, it's actually easier to find a house in Fishers right now than it is in Noblesville, just due to the sheer inventory volume.
Absolutely. And then let's shift over to Shelly. Let's talk about the other side of Hamilton County, and let's fit in Zionsville this week, if you could, Shelly.
Yeah, so in Zionsville, I'll tell you what, if you're thinking of selling in Zionsville, now is the time. So if you're trying to figure out, how do I do it? I still need to buy. We have all the answers to that. But still, weekly, we consistently see that there is not a lot of inventory coming on the market in Zionsville. So last week, we had like 5 or 7 in the past few weeks, I should say. This week we had 12, so it's getting a little better, but 7 of those pended. Again, that gets under that 7-day. And then 5 are still left in Zionsville. So if you're thinking of selling in Zionsville, again, it is the time to do that. You have no competition over there.
Wow. And let's move over to Carmel. Carmel by the Monon.
Carmel by the interstate. So the listed amount was 52 in Carmel, still a really good number. 38 of those have pended. So here again, we're seeing that under 7 days. That's why the days on market, I think, is skewed.
Sure,
Because
gotcha.
most of them do sell within that first 4 days, because that's just the way that everybody's listing homes today. And then there's 14 left currently on the market from those 7 in Carmel. And Westfield, they're getting a big uptick as well. Like you
Good.
said, 44 listed, 26 of those pended. So 18 are left there. So market is finally, I think of it, it's our spring market too. Same thing. You know, we're finally getting nice.
When do you guys start to see the market? I mean, I know we're right at the first toes in the sand for this spring market in a way. When do you see that? When's the hump turn? Is it the end of May do we start going down, or June? How long will it stay strong, or does it stay strong until July 4th? What's your prediction?
I feel like I haven't been doing it as long, but my experience has been May, it just like ratchets up, right? And then I feel like you stay there, I don't know, like we'll call it mid-June into June. I always feel like 4th of July week is almost like a dead week in our industry, right?
Vacations.
So yeah, it's vacations. People have schools coming back up and things like that. And also it's just a holiday, right? And so a lot of people do a lot on that weekend in
Sure.
particular, right? So, but then again, like I feel like then there's another little uptick right at the beginning of August for people who were unsuccessful at the beginning of the selling season, right? And then it kind of goes back
And
down.
they want to get moved in because of the schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
And August also runs there. It's so funny. I remember because those 2 weeks before you're getting ready for school, you're super busy if you have a family trying to, you're buying back to school clothes, back to school supplies. So I always saw also that the last 2 weeks of July were really quiet because everybody was thinking about that first day of school. But back in the way this market has been for
Sure.
the past 2 years, I don't think we have a very cyclical market anymore like we have. Like we
that's
used
for
to.
sure. Well, hey, I want to wrap up the show here. I want to talk about the MMD's daily rate survey that Greg and I look at all week. You know, the 30-year fixed average is about 5.25% to 5.5%, depending on what your lender you're going through. The 15 years at about 4.75%, and some of these banks and agencies are charging points on some of those. We don't. And then the 5/1 ARM could be anywhere from 4.375 to 4.65, which is a lot less than a 30-year fix. If you're putting down a little bit of money, it can save you on that mortgage payment. Great. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and ask you about mortgage rates or get pre-qualified, what's the best number they can call you at?
They can reach me by text or call at 317-590-6546.
And Shelly, what company do you work for?
I work for EXP and the Shelly Walters Realty Group. You can reach me on my cell phone anytime, 317-201-2601.
No, wait a minute, Shelly. You don't take calls on Saturdays because you take those days off, right?
Yeah, no way.
Okay.
It's
And-
unfortunate, not unfortunate.
Now, Kyle, you don't work on Saturdays or Sundays either, do you?
Days off, that's funny. Yeah.
Kyle, what company do you work for?
I work for FC Tucker, and our team name is Morris Property Group.
And how can they get a hold of you, please?
They can call or text 317-649-5122.
Okay, everybody, thanks a lot for listening to our show. This episode has been brought to you by Executive Portfolio Magazine. It's actually www.executiveportfolio.com. And then the other side is if anybody's looking for a mortgage, make sure you get a hold of Greg Evans at PRMG Mortgage here in Carmel, Indiana. Shelly, take us out.
Have a great day and a great week, you guys.